In the last class, we have seen the theory of your draft tube. Today, we will start with the one numerical we will see in draft tube, and then we will move ahead. I hope I am properly audible and my slide is visible to all of you. Any one of you, please respond. Whether my okay, fine. So just see the last slide. We have seen. Yeah. We have seen that how to apply Bernoulli's equation at section 1 and your section number 2. Okay, to solve any numerical to get the pressure at your section number 1. Once again, I will give you a brief recap or brief concept of this draft tube. Okay, let me take one pen. So if you remember that in the last class I have told you the simple definition of a draft tube. You can see if this is your turbine, suppose the inlet to your turbine is coming to this side or maybe this side, wherever. Outlet suppose is your this side. Okay, this is your outlet of the turbine where the water will exit, and this is your tail race. A fast recap of the concept. Okay, so this gradually increasing diameter pipe is your draft tube. Basically, we know that 2 points here you keep in your mind. First, this draft tube, let me underline this. This draft tube will be always installed in reaction turbine only. Keep this in your mind. This will be installed or required only in reaction turbine. Okay, not in impulse turbine. Keep this in your mind. Why? The question is why draft tube is. Can anyone answer this? Why draft tube is not required for impulse turbine? Okay, this is the question. It is required only for your reaction turbine. We all know that in reaction turbine, first we will see why it is not in impulse turbine. We know that impulse turbine is operating at atmospheric pressure. Okay, it is operating at atmospheric pressure. Whereas the case of your reaction turbine, you know that it is not operating at your atmospheric pressure. However, at the inlet, you have both kinetic energy plus your pressure energy. And that spiral casing was there, volute casing, spiral casing was there. In that pressure energy gets converted into your kinetic energy. Okay, because the cross section is reducing in nature for your spiral casing for the case of reaction turbine. So at the outlet position at this location, the pressure is negative. Pressure reduced to below atmospheric pressure means less than PATM. So if we will not increase the pressure over here, then what will happen? We all know that fluid flow from higher pressure to lower pressure. We all know that wherever the pressure is more, the fluid will flow from higher pressure to your lower pressure. Always, whether it is air or liquid or anything, any fluid flow because of pressure difference. Okay, if here at the outlet of your turbine, if the pressure is less than atmospheric pressure, then reverse flow of water will start occurring. Some of the quantity of water will move back inside your turbine. It will not go to your tail race. Okay, so we need this draft tube of gradually increasing diameter that converts some of the kinetic energy into your pressure energy and it's get connected to your tail race. You must keep this in your mind that this draft tube is only used for your reaction turbine, and why it is not used for your impulse turbine. We have seen this condition that P1 upon rho g equals to PA upon rho g minus HS minus this term. Okay. So based on that concept, today we will solve one numerical. Let's see. So first we will write down the given data. First we will read the question. Then we will write down the given data, and then we will solve it. Okay. So here you can see a water turbine has a velocity of 6 meter per second. Means V1 is given. Turbine velocity is 6 meter per second. Okay, I think they are added here. Yeah. Given parameters not written. Okay, I will write here. Don't worry. At the entrance to the draft tube means the velocity of water at the entrance to your draft tube. This frustum of the cone is nothing but your draft tube. Okay. At section 1, the velocity is 6 meter per second. Okay. And a velocity of 1.2 meter per second at the exit. Exit means at this location. This is your one section. This is your section number 2. So velocity V2 is also given 1.2 meter per second. For frictional losses of 0.1 meter, frictional losses means HF is given 0.1 meter and tail water 5 meter below. Tail water is 5 meter below the entrance to the draft tube. As you can see here in the diagram, this distance is given up to here, and this will be, we will consider as y. Okay. Now find the pressure head at the entrance of the draft tube. So you, in the question, it is asking for your P1 upon rho g. What will be the value of P1 upon rho g? So we will apply the Bernoulli's equation at your section 1 and your section 2. Input parameters we have written over here. Okay, we will consider this as your datum line. We will consider this as your datum. If this is datum, it means Z2 will become 0. Okay, if this is your Z1, datum 1, this will be Z2. So Z2 will be equals to 0 since we have considered this as your datum line. Now, write down the Bernoulli's equation. P1 upon rho g plus V1 square by 2g plus Z1 equals to P2 upon rho g plus V2 square by 2g plus Z2 plus HF. This you have to write. Then you have to substitute those values. Okay, P1 upon rho g we have to find out. So I will write as it is plus V1 square upon 2g. V1 value is given. So 6 square upon 2g plus Z1. What is Z1? Z1 is the distance of section 1 from the datum, 5 plus y. 5 plus y equals to P2 upon rho g. For P2 upon rho g, we have seen here in the previous diagram, previous derivation. For P2 upon rho g, we can use this PA upon rho g plus y. Okay, how that is coming? Yeah, you can see at this location just above your tail race, the pressure is atmospheric. So PA upon rho g plus this term, that is your y. Okay, so I will write directly PA upon rho g plus y. In place of this P2 upon rho g, I have written these two terms plus V2 square upon 2g. V2 square value is given 1.2 square upon 2g plus Z2 is 0 and HF is 0.1. Okay. When you will solve it, you will get a simplified relation as P1 upon rho g plus 6.835 equals to PA upon rho g plus 0.1734. Okay. Here you can see on LHS we have Y, on RHS we have Y. So they will be cancelled out, and rest you have to do simple calculation. So you will get this value. Now you need to focus at this location. Why? Because the pressure at section 1, we can say two values. If you remember, the first one we have discussed about absolute pressure, and the second one we have studied about your vacuum pressure. So absolute pressure is nothing but your vacuum pressure plus atmospheric pressure, and vacuum pressure is pressure without atmospheric pressure. Okay. So if you will consider this term, PA upon rho g plus PA upon P1 upon rho g plus PA upon rho g, then that will give you your absolute pressure. If you will consider only this term, you will neglect this term, then you will get this vacuum pressure. In both the situations, the answer will be correct. Okay. So no need to worry. If you are considering vacuum pressure, then you make atmospheric pressure as 0. If you want to give absolute pressure, you keep as it is, and you know that atmospheric pressure is nothing but for absolute pressure you have to take 10.3 meters of water in terms of water head. Okay. So when you will substitute it, what value you will get? P1 upon rho g equals to this will go on to your RHS. Positive is there, so I will make on this side negative 6.835 plus 0.1734. Okay, when you will solve it, you will get negative 6.6 meter. Okay, so here negative sign you can see here. This is telling that this is your vacuum pressure. It's negative. It means that pressure here is less than your atmospheric pressure. If it comes positive, then you can say that the pressure at location 1 is more than that of your atmospheric pressure. Okay. If you want to get the value of absolute pressure, you need to just add 10.3 meters over here. Okay. So still you will get something positive 4 like that. So again, it is less than your atmospheric pressure. So hence you can see here how the values are changing. So this is a simple and conceptual numerical. I have told you about this draft tube. Now moving on to the, yeah, here everything is written. Next topic is your specific speed. Okay. Try to understand the concept, and this formula you must remember. I will show you how this formula is coming just for your understanding, because some of the numerical you can easily solve if you know how this formula is coming. Anyway, I hope the derivation will not come in the examination. Very short derivation is there. Okay. So let's see the definition. Specific speed is defined as, let me take red color. Okay. Specific speed is defined as the speed of turbine which is identical. It is the speed of turbine which is identical. This I am highlighting. What is specific speed? Speed of a turbine which is identical in shape, geometrical dimension, blade angles, gate opening, everything. Okay, with the actual turbine, but of such a size is varied. Okay, this is again a point to be noted. But of such a size that it will develop unit power when working under unit head. Okay, so to remember the definition, you can keep in your mind that specific speed of a turbine is defined as the speed of a turbine, okay, which is identical in shape, geometrical dimension, blade angle, etc., etc. Okay. which is identical in shape, dimension, blade angle, gate opening with actual turbine, but the size is such that it will develop unit power under unit head. This is how you can remember the definition. Very simple. Okay. It is denoted by NS. This is your N and suffix S is written over here. Okay. It is used for comparing different type of turbines, as every type of turbine has different specific speed. Okay. So this is the mathematical expression formula that will be used for solving the numerical. Ns equals to root under n square P upon H, that is your head, raised to the power 5 by 2. Okay. So you can also write, because here square is there, so you can take this n outside, n root P H raised to the power 5 by 4. Okay, this is square root and this 2. So it will make 5 by 4. So this mathematical formulation that you must keep in your mind. Now I will give you a short glimpse how this expression is coming. Okay, we all know that overall efficiency is equals to your shaft power upon water power. Okay, shaft power is generally given in the numerical. Okay, shaft power is the power developed at the output of the shaft, and that will act as an input to your generator. Okay, so we can write this as your P. And water power. Water power, we know that it is given by rho into G into Q into H divided by 1000. So we can take this 1000 above also. Okay, so from here, what we can see, pressure, this P equals to overall efficiency into this term I will take on this side. Okay, so overall efficiency into rho into G into Q into H divided by 1000. Okay, now here what you can observe, this P term is directly proportional to rho is constant, G is constant, Q and H is varying here. So P is directly proportional to Q and H, directly proportional. Okay, let me write here multiplication symbol. Now, if you remember, your V was given by root under 2GH. Okay, that is your peripheral velocity of the turbine. That is also directly proportional to your V. We can write, since U is directly proportional to V and V is directly, from this expression we see that V is directly proportional to. So here we can write U is directly proportional to root under H. Okay, and we also know that U is pi dn upon 60. Okay, so can we write from here U equals to this much? So can we write U is directly proportional to D and N? Okay, so we can write U is directly proportional to D into N. So that U is directly proportional to root H. So we can combine this, we can write from these two equations, this equation and this equation, root H is directly proportional to D into N. Okay, or from this relation, I will write here just below this, D directly proportional to root under H by N. Now, this is related to your H. Now, coming to this Q term, what is your discharge? Okay, so I will write for Q here. Q is your discharge. And discharge is nothing but area into velocity. Area I am writing A and velocity I am writing V. For area, we know that area is directly proportional to your B into D blade, and D is the diameter of the runner. Okay. If B is comparable equal, so in that situation we can write A is directly proportional to D square. Okay. And we already know that this B is directly proportional to root under H from this formula. B equals to root under 2GH. Okay. So for Q, this Q, can we write Q is directly proportional to area. For area, we are getting D square. And for velocity, we got root under H. So for Q, we get D square into root H. Okay. And if you see for D, what we have obtained here at this side, sorry, I'm not able to write here. Why it is not working? It is not working. Yeah, now it started working. Yeah. We have written here D equals to D is directly proportional to H by N. So I want to substitute for Q here. Q is directly proportional to D square. So root under H divided by N square into root H. Okay. So from here, is square term is coming, so it will become, red was more visible. Yeah. Q equals to, or Q is directly proportional to H into root H. It will become H raised to the power 3 by 2 divided by N. Okay. Now, coming back again to this power term, final, the relation power term, as you can see here, power P is directly proportional to Q into H. Okay. So we can write once again, P is directly proportional to Q. For Q, we have obtained this term, that is H raised to the power 3 by 2 divided by N into this H is there, as it is, we will write it. So this P, we can write P is directly proportional to 3 by 2 plus 1. It will become H raised to the power 5 by 2 by N. Now, to remove this sign of constant of proportionality, we need to add some constant, multiply some constant. So let that constant is K, H raised to the power 5 by 2 divided by N. Now, come back to your definition of your specific speed, the definition that we have written here. It is defined as the speed of turbine. Speed of turbine means this N, okay, when, which is identical in shape, dimension, everything with the actual turbine, but the size is such that it develops unit power when unit head is provided. Okay, here you can see unit power it will generate when unit head is available. So this N will become as NS. So let's substitute for unit power equals to 1. K I will write as it is. Head is your unit. So 1 raised to the power 5 by 2 divided by N. Now N will become NS, specific speed. Okay. So if you will bring this NS on left hand side, so NS will become your 1 raised to the power anything will be 1 only. So NS equals to K. So this constant of proportionality is nothing but your K. So let's substitute this K on this. So you will get P equals to NS into h raised to the power 5 by 2 divided by n. Okay. Here it will be n or n square. Here, in this expression, you will see root h by n is there and square is overall. So here square will come. Okay. So here n square will come, ns square, ns square. Okay. So now from here, if you will write what is ns, so ns will become p into n upon h raised to the power 5 by 2. And square terms I am removing. So here root over term will come into picture. So this is what you can see I have written here. ns equals to here n square I missed. Yeah. Root under n square p upon h raised to the power 5 by 2. This is nothing but this expression. Okay. So normally this derivation will not be asked in the examination, yet it is very simple. Okay. Only thing you need to see how they are relating, you have to remember it. But you remember this final expression. ns, your specific speed ns is given by n root p divided by h raised to the power 5 by 4. This you have to remember to solve the numericals. Okay. Now, what is the significance of this specific speed is, the specific speed plays an important role for selecting which type of turbine is to be selected. So, based on this specific speed, range is given, MKS system and SI system values are given. So, based on that, their specific speed, the different type of turbines are selected. Okay. Now, we will solve one numerical. It will clarify furthermore. You can see on your screen the numerical. A turbine to operate under a head of 25 meter means head is given, h is given 25 meter at 200 rpm, n is given 200 rpm revolution per minute. Okay. The discharge is 9 cubic meter. Discharge, that is your Q. Q is given as 9 meter cube per second. If the efficiency is 90%, that overall efficiency is 90% means 0.9. Okay. Now, what it is asking? What will be the specific speed of the machine? What will be the power generated? Okay. So, specific speed means you have to calculate NS. Power generated, it means you have to calculate P, and type of turbine. So based on the value of NS, you have to see the previous table, and based on this, you have to identify which type of turbine is suitable for this setup. Okay. So let's see how to calculate NS. Now, we know that overall efficiency is given here. We also know the formula for your overall efficiency. It is nothing but P upon rho into G into Q into H divided by 1000. Okay, this value is equals to overall efficiency. Now, here if you will see, all the parameters are given. This eta is 0.9. So let's write 0.9 equals to 1000. I will take on this side. This rho is your 1000, density of water. G is 9.81. Discharge is 9. And head, that is capital H, is 25 equals to your P. P, you will get it from here. Okay. So if you will solve this, you will get P equals to 1986.5 kilowatt. Okay. This is what is asked in your part 2. Okay. So from that derivation, you see that I have started with your overall efficiency. So you have to use this formula to get the value of power. Okay. So this is how efficiency term is related to your power term. Now, you know the formula for your specific speed. Ns equals to n root p divided by h raised to the power 5 by 4. Okay, all the values are well known to you. N is 200 RPM. So you put 200 into root under P value you have calculated 1986.5 divided by H is your 25 raised to the power 5 by 4. So you can calculate it using your calculator, and the value you will get, it will be something around 159.46 revolution per minute. So this is the value of your specific speed ns. Now you have to see if this value is coming under which category. Okay. So in your examination, if this is asking type of the turbine, then it will give you this table. They will give you this table. If it is not given, then they will not ask for which type of turbine is suitable here. So you can see here that 149 is coming in this range, and this is suitable for Francis turbine. So you can use your Francis turbine for this. So this is how we solve the numerical. Solution is there on the background, and I have told you how to solve it. Now, another terms that you will see here is your unit quantities. Okay. Now, some of the important topics that are left is your unit quantities, governing mechanism of your turbines, and characteristic curves of the turbine. Okay. So, in short, I will show you what are these unit quantities and what are their use. Based on this simple formula here you will be having, and based on those simple formulas, questions are normally asked in your GATE examination. Okay, so let's see what is unit quantity. In order to predict the behavior of turbine working under varying condition of head, speed, okay, output and gate opening, results are expressed in terms of quantities which may be obtained when the head of the turbine is reduced to unity. This is important. Head of the turbine is reduced to unity. Okay, so the condition of turbine working under unit head are such that the efficiency of the turbine remains unaffected. Okay, so two things here you have to observe. Why unit quantities are used? They are used to predict the behavior of turbines working under varying conditions. Now, what are those conditions? It may be working under different head, different speed, different gate openings. Okay, so to compare their performance, we need some standard parameter. Okay, so we have obtained these unit quantities. Okay, so what we will do to standardize, we will make the head available on the turbine is equals to unity. Okay, head of the turbine we reduce to unity such that efficiency of the turbine remains unaffected. Okay, so by that we will get the unit quantities that are nothing but unit speed, unit discharge, unit power. Now, the definition of unit speed you can see here. It is defined as the speed of a turbine working under unit head. That's it. Speed of a turbine working under unit head. It is denoted as NU, and the expression for your unit speed is, directly I will write NU equals to N upon root H. The derivation will go in the same way that we have seen for your specific speed. If you want to get some idea, you can move like that only. For one parameter I will show you. We know that U is directly proportional to B, and we also know that B is directly proportional to root under H, because B equals to root under 2GH. So B is directly proportional to root under H, and we know that this U is nothing but pi dn by 60. So from here, we know that u is directly proportional to n. Okay. And from this relation, we see that b is directly proportional to uh and u is directly proportional to b. So we can write u is directly proportional to root under h. Now from these two equations, we can say n is directly proportional to root under h. Okay, if you want to remove this constant proportionality sign, so you have to write n equals to k into root under h. Okay, now go to the definition. Definition is saying unit speed is nothing but speed of turbine working under unit head. Means when h unit head means h equals to 1, then n becomes nu unit speed equals to k into root under 1. Okay, so this is your unit speed. So you can write k is nothing but k equals to nu. Okay, and this you substitute in this equation. So you will get n equals to nu into root under h, or nu you can write nu equals to n by root under h. So this is how the derivation goes like, but you directly remember this formula. Okay, similarly, what is unit discharge? It is defined as discharge passing through turbine which is working under unit head. Okay, so in the same way, you will get the relation for Q. It is represented by QU. Okay, unit discharge QU. So QU is given by Q upon root H. Similarly, unit power is defined as it is the power developed by the turbine working under unit head, represented by PU. This term you have to remember, working under unit head, that's it. So from here you will get PU equals to P upon H divided by 3 by 2. This is the only difference for the case of power. Okay, so from here you are getting three equations, okay, that you have to remember in your mind for solving the numerical. If it is asked from this topic, Nu equals to N1 root H1, N by root H that I have written here equals to N2 upon root under H2. Second, we have seen Qu equals to Q1 upon root H1 equals to Q2 upon root H2. And the third equation that you have to remember is Pu equals to P1 upon H1 raised to the power 3 by 2 equals to P2 upon H2 raised to the power 3 by 2. So these three equations you have to remember for solving numericals. Basically, this definition is asked, okay, and along with definition, you have to write these three equations. That's it, you will get full marks. Now, this is one of the very important for your theory question, that governing of turbine. Okay, here you can see the diagram. I will explain its working. Now try to understand what is the meaning of governing of turbine. Here you can see governing of Pelton wheel we have shown. Okay, this is the inlet pipe from where this water is going to impact on the turbine blade. And as in the earlier, I have told you there is one sphere that regulates the flow of water that will go and impact the turbine. Okay. This is the piston rod of relay cylinder. So this cylinder you can see here, this cylinder is called as relay cylinder. And inside this relay cylinder, there is one piston. The two sides of piston, both sides, it is active, side A and side B. Okay. This is again your relay cylinder, or you can say a control valve, double acting control valve. Here you have two pistons. They are connected by the same shaft over here. It is having three inlets, and on this side you have one, two, and this is nothing but a piston rod of the control valve, and it is hanging on this fulcrum. Okay, and this fulcrum, this piston rod or this lever, this is lever arm, is connected to the sleeve of your governor. This is your governor. Basically, it is centrifugal governor. Centrifugal governor means with the centrifugal force, these are balls, fly balls, okay? Due to inertia or centrifugal force, when the speed will increase, this will try to move out because of the centrifugal force. When it will try to move out, then what will happen? The sleeve will try to go in up direction. Okay. So when the speed will increase. So now let's see the theory of your, here on this side, this is connected. The shaft of this governor is connected to your main shaft of your turbine. Here you have turbine, it is connected to some shaft, and that shaft is going to generator. So it is, this governor is connected to your main shaft. Means directly its speed is same as that of your turbine shaft output. Here you have one oil sump and your oil pump. So this is your construction of your governor of your turbine. Now, governing of turbine is defined as the operation by which the speed of turbine is kept constant. Okay. Because we know that we are ultimately rotating this turbine, to generate electricity. And we all know that the frequency of the electricity, it should be constant. It should not be fluctuating. And that frequency for our domestic purpose at our home, we are getting at 50 Hertz, Hz. This is the unit of your frequency. So to get a constant frequency throughout the operational cycle, we need to maintain the speed to be constant. We need constant speed at any loading condition. Okay. So how to maintain this speed? Let's see. When the load on the generator decreases, okay, when the load on generator decreases, the speed of generator will increase. So I will write here two cases. Case 1, okay, when the load decreases. When load decreases, then the speed will increase. We all know that. Okay. When the speed will go on increasing, it may go beyond your normal speed. Okay, but we need to keep this at constant speed. So for regulating this speed, to restricting this speed, what we can do, we can restrict some water, or we can restrict this flow of water. If we will reduce this discharge of water Q, then automatically the velocity or the speed of the turbine will reduce to the required level. So how to reduce the water going through this passage? We will close this. It means that this piston has to move in forward direction. This piston has to move in forward direction. Okay. So the process by which this speed of the turbine is kept constant by varying under varying loading condition is called as your governing of turbines. Okay. So now, how to decrease this velocity? As I have told you, when the speed is increasing with the reduction in load, okay. Oh, sorry. Again, my pen is not working. Let me it is not working. Okay, now it's working. Okay. Now we have seen when the load decreases, then the speed will increase. So in that situation, to regulate the speed, we need to reduce the flow rate. It means we need to pull this piston on the forward direction. Okay. So let's see how to do that. When the load on the generator decreases, the speed of the generator increases. This increases the speed of the turbine beyond the normal speed. Okay, and this shaft is connected to your centrifugal governor, okay, which is connected to the turbine main shaft. While rotating at an increasing speed, what will happen? This fly ball will try to move outward due to the centrifugal force, and due to the movement of this fly ball in outward direction, this sleeve will move in upward direction. Okay, this portion of the lever will go upside. Here you have your fulcrum point. Okay, if this side will go up, then this side will go in downward direction. Okay, I hope it is clear to all of you. If fly ball is going outside, then this part of the lever arm will go up because it is connected to your sleeve. Okay, and this portion here you have one fulcrum point. So this part of the lever will try to come down, and this portion is connected to the piston rod of this control valve. Okay, this what this will do, it will close your valve V1. This piston will close this passage. Okay, if this will be closed, then this V2 will be open. When it will come down, it will close V1 and V2 will be open. If V2 will be open, then the oil from this oil sump, this is your oil sump, this is your oil pump. This pressurized oil will go in this direction and it will move to your valve V2 and it will come down and it will apply a force on side A of this piston of your relay cylinder. When force on this side is applied, this piston will move in forward direction, and what will happen? It will regulate the discharge. The discharge will be reduced. As the discharge will reduce, automatically the speed of turbine will reduce and come to the desired level. So this is case 1. Now case 2. Case number 2. Now, what will happen when load will increase? When load will increase, we all know that speed will decrease. Okay. So if speed will decrease below the desired level, then we need to increase the speed of this turbine. Okay. So we need more water to come outside from here and strike the blades of the turbine. So we will open it. So to opening this, we need this spear valve to move in this direction. Okay. So if the speed is decreasing, then what will happen to this fly ball? The rotation speed will decrease, so it will come on this direction. It will move on this direction. Okay, the fly ball will move on this direction. And due to this, this sleeve will go down. The sleeve will go down. Here is your fulcrum point. So this side it will go up. Since this is connected to the piston of this control valve, so what it will do, this will close valve number 2 and valve 1 will be open. Okay, valve number 1 will be open. Then again the oil from this side it will come and it will go to your valve V1, and again it will come to the relay cylinder from this side, and it will create a pressure on face B of your piston. Okay, so this will move on this direction. and this spear will move backside, and more amount of water will go and strike the blades of your turbine. Okay, this is how the functioning of turbine, governing of your turbine is given. Okay, I hope it is clear to all of you. Is this clear to all of you? This is important theoretical question. Okay. If it is clear, write in the chat box, clear, sir. One topic is left, that is your characteristic curves of a turbine, that I am giving you as an assignment. Okay. Yesterday evening, I have uploaded a set of questions in your Canvas, around 20 questions from this last 3 units. Okay. Similarly, I have given one set of questions at the end of your mid-1 exam also. Okay. So those who are targeting at least to pass, you must practice this 20 plus at the time of mid-1. I hope I have given 10 or 20 questions. So you all must practice these 30 to 40 questions. These are theoretical questions. If you will prepare for this questions only, at least you will pass. This is for sure. Whether the question is coming from your JNTU or anywhere, they cannot ask besides these questions. So you all must solve those 20 questions and upload in your Canvas. Okay, that is for your own preparation. When you will try to find out the solution of those questions, you can see in the examinations, questions may come directly from that assignment list. Okay, but point to be noted, given you only theoretical questions list. Okay, few numericals will also be asked, and those numericals that I have discussed in the classroom. So you must practice those questions that is discussed in the. Okay.